key challenges and challengers for the higher education industry. I am using the word industry in particular because until or unless we have a notion of an industry, a return on an investment part of it, an impact side of it, higher education system will probably keep on running like a governmental, a cost-centric kind of an approach. What we are investing in the students per se and what outcomes are coming across, they need to be measured. It's a national priority out there. I would like to request Dr. Yogeshwar Costa, who is the director at Marwadi Group of Institutions. He has come all the way from Rajkot to participate in this higher education forum. Dr. Yogeshwar Costa, I welcome you, sir, on the dais. We have got Professor S.H. Pawar, who is the Honorable Vice Chancellor from D.Y. Patil Education Society, Kolhapur. Sir made his very extreme comments in the last session. We also have with us from Navi Mumbai, MGM Institute of Health Sciences, Dr. S.N. Kadam, the Honorable Vice Chancellor with the MGM Institute of Health Sciences, Navi Mumbai. We have also with us Shri S.L. Agrawal, who is the Executive Director with JECRC University, Jaipur. Mr. Agrawal. We also have with us from Ahmedabad, Gujarat, from SAL Technical Campus, we have got Dr. Akshay Pujara, who is the Honorable Director out there. Dr. Akshay Pujara. Okay. And last but not least, Dr. K.C. Mohite, who is the Dean Faculty of Science at the Pune University. He was the former director of Pune University at the UAE campus. So before I kickstart this session, I would request Mr. Milton to present the zonal abstracts for the campus preparedness survey to all our panelists, and then to the audience I would request. All these challenges and challengers of higher education, we tried to undergo a very in-depth kind of a questionnaire formulation, and we came out with certain 11 thematic areas into which we coalesced, we condensed all this narrative. So that will be a quick and a very strong reference document around which we can have this entire conversation. I would request Connor to present, this is the zonal abstract. I would request just a photo op for this release of the zonal abstract. I would request Connor to also accompany the panelists for the zonal abstract. You can be there. Yes, please conclude. Yes. Take one more. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I would just, before starting this session, I would like to run you through this entire stats. I would like to explain it across, take you through this so that the entire conversation in this session can be structured around this. If you see, the West Zone comprised of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan and Goa. And if you see the thematic areas into which this entire research stats have come across, institutional outreach, infrastructure, ranking, institutional revenue growth, faculty, placements, research, and then the 4 super strong parameters what Connor had mentioned: delivery, operational efficiency, competition and governance. Just see that on the institutional outreach front in the West Zone, if you see that 23% of the institutions have confessed that this priority does not exist. Priority pertaining to expanding institutional outreach does not exist with 23% of the institutions. Quite a revealing stats out here. As far as the question of share on budget on institutional outreach using the various media, print media still assumes a significant 1/3, 31% of the institutions are still using that. And if you see clubbing the online, social and mobile, it just clubs to a whopping 91% of the institutions are saying that they are using some form of the online outreach mechanism, social mechanism or a mobile. So there is still an acceptance across, and institutions are really prepared for the digital onslaught which has come across. On the infrastructural front, if you see, the priority pertaining to augmenting physical infrastructure, because that was the first thing 15 years back, to build up the real brick and mortar infrastructure for housing the higher technical education and the higher education across the country. Interestingly, 15% of the institutions in the western zone say that this priority does not exist for them. They don't feel the need of augmenting the physical infrastructure any further. So this means that they are just on the higher curve. They are trying to move forward, utilizing the existing infrastructure, the online hybrid models and others. This is just an indication which you are finding from here. As far as the optimal utilization of existing infrastructure is concerned, the admittance has been 70% of the institutions say that they are able to do it, and 15% of them have really confessed that they are trying to do it. But as Raj would have said in one of his things, the global average which goes, that 21% of the infrastructure is still utilized. So this means this is more of an overstatement from our campuses, that they feel that they are being able to utilize the physical infrastructure really nicely. At MHRD, there is a concern like, do we have to really create more brick and mortar, or whatever brick and mortar is there across the country, we can utilize it much more for our skilling centers and all. Because if you just analyze the Government of India budgets, because engineering was next issue is on the Union Budget 2015, you will find a whopping amount of money being spent. कोई नया institute खड़ा करना है तो building बनाओ. The typical CPWD way and the PWD way of investing money in tangible resources. So that is something where we don't have resources for the higher octane and the higher delivery investments, which are getting very, very important in times to come. As far as the solutions, the IT solutions or whatever solutions to manage and track the maintenance of infrastructure at the campuses, 54% of the institutions of the western zone say that they are using some form or the other, the usage of the classrooms, the usage of the laboratories, all that stuff they are using some way or the other. Ranking as a dominant priority for institutional advancement, if we say that a meager 15% of the institutions say that it does not exist. So on the skeptic side of it, or on the upright rejection side of it, we have a whopping 85% of the institutions in some category or the other that they are working towards improving the global rankings. There is a lot of debate in the last 6 months to 8 months, and since the Honorable President of India took charge, and he is probably one of the most vociferous advocate of mentioning the fact that none of the Indian universities is surfacing in the top 200. Whatever be the parameters or whatever be the things, global rankings do have some stature out there, like the credit ratings, where the sovereign credit ratings are judged by the likes of S&Ps and the Moody's and all. So the global agencies have got some rationale, and what they look, they have a very, very stringent quality process. Like in the organic farming part of it, there is a certification process. So culturally, as a country, we are averse to documenting our great good works. हमारे यहाँ वो बात कही जाती है कि नेकी कर दरिया में डाल, और बचपन से कल्चर इज टॉट कि भाई डोंट ओवर से योर accomplishments or something like that. But these are the very parameters which in a competitive era are certainly coming to the core, and campuses have really to take cognizance of it. They are doing a stellar work, but since they are not documenting it properly somewhere or the other in a presentable format, these rankings, they are lacking somewhere. That's probably one of the Freakonomics logic across. On the institutional revenue growth side of it, if we just come, I just mentioned earlier also that for 46% of the institutions in the western zone, the priority pertaining to increasing the institutional revenue does not exist. Now this is more of an understatement somewhere, because of higher education is still more of a social mandate and the larger stuff. But we have to be pragmatic out there. More investigation has to go over there. Ki why 46% of the institution, which is sizable, that they say that the priority does not exist for them. Now as far as the instruments of increasing the revenue, the key dimensions and directions through which they are planning to increase their revenue basis, 69% of the campuses are talking about multidisciplinary nature, introducing multidisciplinary campus. So this somewhere answers Professor Vidyasagar's thought that 14 faculties are there. So campuses are really thinking on those lines to introduce multidisciplinary campus. On consulting projects, 39% of the institutions are quite keen to move forward. Alumni endowments, another 23%, so and so forth. Faculty effectiveness, as Raj has mentioned earlier as well, that this is the topmost national priority across institutions. In the Western Zone, 15% of the institutions again have said that this priority does not exist for them. I just mentioned some of the stats out there. On the placement side of it, obviously this priority exists. Grishma ji would say that no TPO of any teacher would say that placement is not a priority. 71% for institutions, it is very high. On the research side of it, I mentioned some of the stats earlier. On the delivery side of it, it's interesting to note that 92% of the institutions in the Western Zone are saying that they are keen to adopt a on-ground hybrid and online model. If you picked up Connor rightly, he said that at Penn State, and he was talking about a global phenomena where the brick and mortar institutions have learnt very fast. It's not that online will just swipe them away. Because they have been into the business of teaching and learning for ages, for years and years together. So they are the ones, if they are inclined and if they are aligned, they can pick up the online stuff very fast, and then they can become competitive from pure Khan academies or pure MOOCs or whatever. They can, as Professor Sahasrabudhe said, that why not at COEP we start recording our own faculty's lectures, and that is more contextual in the context of Maharashtra, Pune and across, being a premier institution in the city. So that kind of things are across. Flexible terms, colleges are coming in a very big way. 85% of the institutions have said that they are for flexible terms. Curriculum optimization remains the pain across. 69% of the institutions have said that it's a top on their priority. Non-traditional education also takes the same focus. And student engagement initiatives, what Rajat ji and others were talking about at Sangam University and all, 46% of the institutions in Western Zone are talking about enhancing the student engagement. On the operational efficiency part of it, interestingly, like revenue growth, institutions are not very keen on that. They say, chal raha hai, sab acha hai. 31% of the institutions say that this priority does not exist for them. Now, in an industry when for penny saving, they just streamline the processes, they try to galvanize every mental energies to do it. 31% of the institutions still say that this priority does not exist for them. This needs to be sensitized upon. As far as the internal reporting, that was another question. 77% of the institutions in the Western Zone still use manual paper-based stuff. The way Finance Ministry has blocked any kind of internet in the North Block, maybe our institutions have some classified or bigger reason to still use the manual stuff, because online they have a propensity ki aankde badal jayenge agli report mein. I will not remember, so print out le aao at least. So that is also adding to the paper load. On the competition part of it, accentuating research and consulting projects is top on priority of the Western Zone institutions, with 38% saying that this will make them competitive further in the emerging trends. And nearly 15% of the institutions feel that improving the student experience will do the magic for them. On the governance front of it, 85% of the institutions are feeling the need of a record management system because of compliances, because it is interconnected to the ranking part of it and the entire operational efficiency part of it. And 57% of the institutions are feeling the need of creating a seamless content foundation across the university. So these are the quick snippets which I just presented in front of you. The entire elaborate report would be released day after tomorrow at Delhi, and then we would be finding ways and means of sending it across to you so that you can find out what is the mood and morale of the India's higher education system. I would keep this session very brief and to the point, so that we can close it, and then the award ceremony and the dinner, and people have to leave. I'm getting all kinds of, using technology as a real dashboard out here. I'm getting all the feelers and feedback from my colleagues outside. So I would just put forth very pointed questions. First and foremost to Mr. S.L. Agrawal, who is the Executive Director with JECRC University, Jaipur. Sir, why is it that we are still living in that old mind of it, feeling good and talking good, that the institutional revenue growth part of it, that 46% of the institutions still say that it is not their dominant priority? What is the psychological reason, or as one of the Executive Directors you feel like?
No, in fact, for institutions being run by trust societies and Section 25 companies, the priority is funding. And for funding these educational institutions, there is no structured credit delivery system. And whatever delivery system exists, there is no uniformity in the guidelines given by them. I would like through you to communicate to the Government of India that there should be a corporation or body on the pattern of Tourism Finance Corporation of India, say Educational Finance Corporation of India, which provides guidelines for financing private educational institutions. Second, the cost of financing is not considered while fixing the fees. As you know all, the fees are regulated under judicial pronouncements, and the cost of financing is not considered while working out the cost of education. These institutions are not getting long-term loans. At the most, they are provided term loans not ranging beyond 8 years. Whereas, keeping the viability in view, it is not possible for those institutions to repay the interest and the principal well in time within that short period. So there should be some long-term arrangement for financing these institutions. Educational sector is not getting working capital or overdraft loans from financial institutions. There is need for providing these two. In view of these limited resources, the research and promotion is also affected to some extent. 2 days back, Mr. Deepak Parakh, eminent industry leader and chairman HDFC Bank, while inaugurating first school of HDFC Bank, he made a remark that there is aggressive need for investment in education sector. So, education sector needs to receive huge investment, and if we have to increase the gross enrollments from 12 to 30%, there is need of thousands of universities and educational institutions. I would say there should be a codified policy for financing educational institutions in private sector.
Thanks a lot, sir. I think very well put up the pain of the entire private sector in the higher education space, the need of it, and probably these are some of the key concerns which would be put up. I would now move on to Dr. Yogeshwar Costa, who is from Marwadi Group of Institutions, Rajkot, and it says that he comes from Gujarat, he comes from the state of the Prime Minister, where he has done all the wonders in the last 10 years. And he also tags the name of Marwadis. Operational efficiency is something which we have all seen. The Guru movie, in the last he says that I have made a saving of 2 minutes also. So why is it that on the operational efficiency part of it, campuses are not that sensitized? In the Western zone, they say that 31% of the institutions say that it is not on their top priority. Don't you think that at Marwadi Group, whatever cost, because money saved is money earned sometimes, because at the end of the day, whether it is for profit or not for profit, eventually the economics have to be rotated. So what are your views about enhancing the operational efficiency at your institution?
Technology, when utilized in an efficient system, multiplies its efficiency. But if it is utilized in an inefficient system, it decreases or divides. And I believe the shift is how we utilize technology and move from efficiency to effectiveness in almost all spaces, which includes infrastructure, it includes teachers, it includes students, and it also includes what the industry claims, that education has become industry. It also includes profits as well. So, time today has probably been the key driving factor in terms of the last mile, that's the last word, which is called economics, in terms of production of engineers or intellects, or in terms of production of goods. So at Marwadi Education Foundation, we have tried to utilize technology so that we can bring in a shift from efficiency towards effectiveness. This is one part. There are a few things which I have been a part of this forum today, and I have realized some few things which I would like to share maybe within a couple of minutes. The primary difference that exists between the Eastern and the Western thoughts and cultures is based on the fact that in India, it goes like this. And it's better, I tell it in Hindi because it's most better understood in this way. College शुरू करना है, ठीक है, चालू कर दो, रिक्रूट कर लो, स्टूडेंट्स आ जाएंगे, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो जाएगा, आप सब करना चालू कर दो. This is the verdict which comes from the management, which also includes AICT approvals. I hope everybody will agree with this. So we operate under a scarcity and then work the scarcity to bring it to some level of existence. Existence is the word. But whereas in the Western construct, we have what is called पहले सब कुछ फिर बाद में हम लोग आएंगे. So that's the way we are operating. And this is very well reflected in our mythology as well. कर्म किए जा, फल की चिंता नहीं कर. अरे रिक्रूट हुआ है तो सैलरी तो देना पड़ेगा ना, वो तो कॉलेज तो जनवरी से स्टार्ट होगा या जुलाई से होगा, 15 दिन आप ऐसे ही कर लो. So this is how it is. We have two extreme operating ends. If you really take a look at it, at one end we have the conventional engineering colleges, particularly in the private sector, with almost nothing. And one end we have IITs or IISc, where you have everything. Now at both the ends, if you try to analyze or if you try to visualize what exactly is happening to the output product, the guy here is equally useless, and the guy at top at IIT is also equally even more useless than this guy who is useless. So he is more useless. Why? Because he never goes to serve the industry. He goes away somewhere else. And if you look at data, it's very alarming, particularly the IITs. The education, what is received for those students is never utilized for this country. There is only 2% of engineers in Indian Space Research Organization who are from IITs. It was those second and third class engineers which put the satellite on top. And this is a fact. So you can see how these spaces are operated. This is one part. The second part is, we never talked about brain drain. Let us not worry about it. Every one of us know. Now this is not the kind of brain drain which I am talking about, but it's all about our own economy, how these people are contributing. The second is, as far as the Indian context is concerned, and if we have to realize and experience the kind of lifestyles which US or UK is having, we will consume more than one earth. Please, let us be honest about it, if we are going to live that kind of lifestyle. So therefore, there is one factor which is coming up, which is called as prudence and wisdom. So I'll not elaborate much on that, but let us focus. In India, we need to produce three kinds of workforce. One is the conventional workforce which will participate in the industry. The second one is the research force, more or less called the elite force, which will bring in innovations and other kinds of visions. And the third one is the service force. Now please, if you look at it, that means I am talking about a university or an institution which will produce three kind of actors who will participate, who will engage in order to bring economic growth and development of this wonderful country. And there you must produce problem solvers, problem identifiers or spotters, and problem brokers. These are the three kinds of output we should produce under these kind of three workforces which I have been talking about. So that requires a different device, a different mechanism, a different process. Now, this is what it is. So therefore, as far as the problem which was actually shared, where the answers were shared, which was about the advanced research. Now there is a conventional research, advanced research, strategic research, and whatever names is under the hat of management you can give, but this research can be exploded into innumerable number of kinds of things. Now what is happening in research? The fundamental research is more or less fundamental, which is perhaps very difficult because the kind of investments needed is perhaps very, very difficult to arrive at or even construct. The second one is the delta X and delta Y research, which I called, which most of our institutions are doing. They put something into that so-called validation scape, or which is also called as the electronic space. They get some graph which is not exactly matching with the graph of something else, and they say, sir, हमारा ये research हो गया, ये graph इसमें ये हो रहा है, इसलिए ये paper publish, और वो paper publish भी हो जाता है. That is the delta X. The third one is the applied research. Now I am telling you, 1.21 billion people in this country, 770 million below the age of 35, 550 between the age of 15 to 30 years, brimming with energies and ideas. All this country needs is a government of India web portal of ideas. Just recognize the idea. And that is where the things kick starts. That is the starting point. That is the seed. That is the home where it has to start. The second thing is, once these ideas, unfortunately, in an institution like ours, where I have, in 5 years' time, we have grown into 8,000 students, and there I am telling you, all these students are brimming with energies and ideas. Unfortunately, we are not utilizing ICT to enable or to a mechanism to mine those ideas. And please believe me, the industry will come. If your ideas are of high impact business values, they will come. Let them scrutinize the ideas. So many ideas are there, and if you calculate it mathematically, you will get a figure in 1 second. On that web portal, you will have more than 500 ideas. Just calculate it mathematically. And please believe me, we will have more hits in Facebook than in any other this one, if you have talk about ideas. So therefore, as far as the ideas are concerned, ideas are the seed. Once this is recognized, please believe me, the funding can come from anywhere because it's a global village.
I think that's a wonderful Marwari way of doing any business, any enterprise.
As far as the structure is concerned, we had the Gurukula system, and I don't forget the Nalanda, right? It is very much there. I will not dwell deeper into it, but this is what it is happening to the field of education. More than 300 years ago, when this education kicked in, the universities organized themselves around the printed book and printed material, where teacher was at the center stage and students were the passive receivers of education, so-called, right? And that what happened, what transpired was that it was about the notes and books and things like that. Now in the digital era, because I am a digital immigrant, the native digital, the screen which I think he talked about, that my daughter is doing it like this, where things have changed drastically. And what is happening is that there is a paradigm shift, and that shift is that we had the Gurukulas, which was something like the triangle. We had the Kuladipati, who was the Raja, and the Kulpati, who was the Guru there with the saffron robes. And then we had the structural and all sorts of things, right? I will not go much deeper, but then this broke down after the Second World War, when research was introduced, which was only about discipline. Nobody can tell me today that physics starts here and maths ends over there. Similarly, electrical engineering starts and maths over there. And that's why we are moving from multidisciplinary to transdisciplinary, where the body of knowledge which is generated has to be seen with the impact it has on society, people, organization, and not only in the disciplinary structure. So the disciplinary structure has broken down, where the research only adds to the body of knowledge and not seeing the impact. But now there is a transition which is multidisciplinary in nature, and that is why you can see that most of the institutions and departments today have broken down, and they have taken from that independent vertical disciplinary structures to what is called as the web-based structure. And please believe me, institutions and industry will not be known for the research, they will be known by the kind of intellectual bodies they are associated with, not about the research. Because the research, the impact of the research will primarily be decided not by the institution, not by the relevant discipline, but the impact it has, its effects on society, people, species and other organizations. This is what, and it can come from anywhere, and the funds can come from anywhere, and the impact is universal. So this is what it is. So I talked, so therefore we have gone from a triangular to verticals to what is called as a web-based structure, and that is what it is. As far as the soft skill is concerned, we will find a paradigm shift from what is today's most needed 21st century skill, that is digital literacy skill, that is moving from soft skills to EQ to SQ, which is intelligent quotient, which was their mass recruitment time when the Americans introduced it, and then we went into what was called as the EQ, the emotional quotient, and then we are also going to shift to what is called as the spiritual quotient, which is very important, where India is very rich and very much adept with the kind of knowledges which we have, which conventionally was not there, and I'm sure that the Western construct is very much behind this. So this was about the SQ. Now let me tell you, the confusion about the field of education is primarily not because education is to be done in a particular way. Please, process, techniques and everything is fine. You can leave the administration to the to what you call as campus preparedness program, absolutely okay. But as far as education is concerned, please remember, education is not an exact science. What you can emerge or what can come out in the western region of this country will be very much different than what it can come out from the northern region of the country, and so on and so forth. So therefore, every institution in itself will have its own ways and means of doing it. So therefore, the wisdom comes from this fact that, wisdom comes from this fact that give a man a fish, he will eat for a day, but what the wisdom is that don't give, you teach a man how to fish, he eats for all his life. But the Indian way is, don't give a man a fish, don't teach him either, but inspire him so that he will discover his own way of doing it. And that is where the vision, and that's the reason why it has to happen. Of course, there are a lot of things which I have done. Let me just, so the confusion has been created. So, now the problem with the educational institution and the industry is you compare the assistant or associate professor equivalence of of an educational institution and that with his equivalents or counterpart in the industry, you will discover there is not subtle difference, there are major differences in way of thinking, in way of doing things. So is that for the student who goes to IIT. My construct is, in the 21st century, if you look at the students who go into IIT, you can classify into three categories. There were three entities which were responsible. Now you look at a normal student who goes to a normal university, 30 out of 100 marks, 30% marks this guy goes to a normal institution will be given to the school. He will give 50 to 60% marks to a special attention center, which is also called as a coaching center. Right? And he will give another 20% marks for himself. That comprises his 100%. That is his signature. But if you look for an IIT guy, then you will see he will give 10% marks to the school. He will give 30% marks to the guy who goes to Kota or Rajasthan to seek that, and he'll give 60% marks to himself. So that means in the 21st century, one of the most important skill is to self-learn and how to learning to learn. That is the fundamental of education, because education is something which we are preparing for a student for a future which neither you know nor I know, and neither of our structures can actually compete or have the capability and capacity in itself in a fast changing, rapid technological advancing world which actually has seemingly undifferentiated differences between two overlaps of education to actually transcend to the next level. So having said this, people who get least marks must go to IIT, and people who get good marks must go to the lousiest college.
I think with this iconoclastic remark, I would, sir has really summed up the entire proceedings in such a fantastic manner. I would request now, I would take on the conversation to Professor S.H. Pawar, who is the Honorable Vice Chancellor with the D.Y. Patil Education Society, Kolhapur. We all know Kolhapur for its Kolhapuri chappals. And that's one of the manufacturing which every city of this country used to be known by something. Engineering Watches has identified some 100 edu destinations across the country, spread across 20 states over here, and we are identifying the key voices of that particular city. In Punjab we had 12 edu destinations. Similarly, we are just I would say making our quest in doing it. So my question to you is like what is the dominant direction about research? Research as a key challenge or challenger, like in the last session in the Make in India one, there is a lot of disconnect which is happening across, and empowering wide, if we see the zonal abstract for the West Zone, priority pertaining to empowering wide-based research, wide-based I said, which is applied, appropriate and advanced, 33% of the Western institutions say that it does not exist. So in your opinion, higher education, should it deal with research, or because there is a lot of debate ki we are to a teaching organization, so let us focus only on teaching, or research should have a dominant focus?
First of all, let me appreciate the efforts made by Engineering Watch by organizing such kind of event. And then let me tell you that Kolhapur, he has pointed out that Kolhapur is known by chappal, but let me add that Kolhapur is also famous for jaggery, which is sweet one. And so it means that, so there are so many, just like chappal, you know, so jaggery is also. Regarding the question, specifically my earlier speaker has made my job easier. Specifically, you know that when you wanted to, discuss about the higher education, it's but natural that in order to make the higher education dynamic, so higher education is there, syllabus is there, curriculum is there, implementation is there, but question comes, if there is no new addition of the knowledge, so who is going to create the addition of knowledge? How is additional knowledge generated? So question comes, how good teacher it may be there, how good teaching methods may be there, if there is no dynamism in the higher education, in the sense adding into the knowledge, so there won't be any improvement. In the society, now people are talking about the communication, people are talking about digital, people may be talking about the mobiles and okay. But the question comes, all these things that happened only because of the research. So in case of the higher education, unless and until there is a strong component of the research, no higher education system can become a dynamic system. And that's why there is a research component must be one of the fundamental components. If you look at the NAC accreditation, so the higher percentage is given to the research rather than only infrastructure or teaching. So the dynamism in the research is a must. In order to bring the dynamism in the research, actually, if you look at the UGC Act, 1956, they are already provided to bring the dynamism in the educational institutions. So by the UGC Act 1956, those institutions who are in the state universities, those who have capability, those who have dynamism, excellence, these institutions, they are promoted deemed to be university, so that they have the freedom.
So I would just like to intervene out here, like one very query, like most of the campuses say that the national body should take up the initiative, they should come to us by putting it across. So what do you think out of your experience that it is a self-initiated aspect of an institution? Institution has to prepare itself for undertaking some kind of a research project, or it should be all externally motivated and
Yeah, I think it's a good question, because let me give my experience of my university. My university, okay, earlier, last 37 years I was in state university, and now since last 7 years I'm in the deemed to be university. I could do many things when I became the vice chancellor in the deemed to be university. The convergence of the engineering, medical and basic sciences, bringing them the new technology, medical technology, operation less, the blockage in the heart, and so like that, so many, new research. So depending on the convergence and the new things, so it is possible to get the new solutions, and we can adopt this dynamism in the higher education.
Thanks a lot, sir, for your valuable inputs over there. I will now move on to Dr. Mohite. He mentioned very passionately about the new delivery mechanisms which University of Pune is evolving, and in answer to that open book examination question and all. So I would like to, sir, what in terms of Pune University, the delivery you are seeing? Pune is known to be one of the, earlier used to be known as the hub of the youngsters, and the private education got emerged in this western part of Maharashtra. So how the modern delivery models, how University of Pune is coping up with them, and how you are catering to that?
Basically, first of all, of course, I would like to thank organizers for giving me opportunity, and of course, organizing such a very important issue and function on important issues. Delivery part, as far as it is concerned, so there are a number of initiatives which University of Pune has taken since last decade. In fact, Professor Pandit Vidyasagar also, he was a director at that time, and from that day actually we started number of activities. One of the activity was of course research. Just now recently you asked one question that universities or institutions also should have their own, they should start their own funding. I think Pune University might be the only university in India who has started giving funding to the teachers, not only from campus but off campus, like all colleges, more than 10 crores of rupees per year, and more than 3 lakhs, around 3 lakhs rupees per teacher for 2 years. Of course, the project, and it will be scrutinized and all these things, and it has really given a very good impact. In fact, most of the colleges, they got A grade due to the fact that they are doing very good research. And not only for faculty, but even for students. Even students, we are giving not only funding, but we do organize number of activities for students. And University of Pune, see, there are in Maharashtra, Avishkar is one of the competition, research project competition. And the University of Pune won that competition 7 times out of 9. So you can imagine that in what way University of Pune is working on research. But I would like to mention few more things as far as research is concerned. I would like to take little further. Since see, there are number of rankings in higher education. One is of course university ranking that we all know. We are not in first 500 or 1000, that is what we talk about. Of course, there are number of other parameters, number of other aspects. Secondly, there is a ranking on research ranking. Like, that way India is doing not excellent, but they are doing good. Since BRICS countries, they come in the 20 to 30 ranking, apart from America, Japan and Germany, like that. But we are in between 20 to 30. India is around 27 or something like that, as far as the research ranking is concerned. But the most important
just
part,
like to ask at this juncture, like on the ranking part of it, what kind of documents and what kind of documentations do these agencies look for?
Yeah,
for the larger enlightenment.
basically number of papers, H index, then number of other indexes. The Scopus is there, which really measures what kind of papers which are coming out, patterns, this and that.
So it's an elaborate process on the part of the participating organizations, or it's all a secondary research with these ranking agencies?
No, see, secondary research, fundamental research, applied research, so all it comes in that research. But I would like to give more importance on not only research, but the countries which are really converting this research invention to innovations. There actually we are lagging a lot, and that is what of course most of us do agree. That whatever the research is happening over there, whether we are converting that research into actual product, which is a need-based kind of research, is been very important. So as far as this ranking is concerned, there is one more ranking that is called as a global index. A global index, in global index, there are first top 10 countries where they are converting their research and inventions into actual innovations. So the countries are like, UK is there, USA of course is there, then Japan is there, Sweden is there, Switzerland is there, but India is not there at all in first 10. So I think there actually we have to play a very good role, I mean, to convert this research into actual product. I think I think most of the speakers here also, previous session also, they talked about that, why industry is not taking part in this. And that there, of course, we are lagging in this area.
What are the specific interventions on the part of University of Pune? What innovations? Because you seem to be a pathbreaker in this area.
Basically what we did is like, of course, organizing activities is one thing, but what we did is that, taking in all, like NCL, scientists from NCL or many institutes, we have a very good platform. Not only that, only research organizations, but even industry. Okay. We organize number of events on that line, so that whether industry kind of interaction, academics, research and industry interaction, that also we used to organize this activity, and that really helps students. Students cannot do by their own. We have to, we teachers and we policymaker has to do a lot. Then only students can come really forward. Just one thing which I would like to mention, there is one DSIR, of course, like CSIR, the assistant concern of DSIR. Now that I worked on that aspect also. DSIR, they provide funding to the industries. And only one condition is that industry should work with educational institute. That is the only condition. Otherwise, they provide all manpower. They can, provide all other fundings, infrastructure also they can provide. But there, of course, what I have seen is that they not forget about what 1%. It is not even 0.01% industries are taking benefit of this. I think industry there is when we say that educational institutes, you finger it out, but at the same time other fingers are towards industry, that they also should come forward. In your UGC guidelines, it is made mandatory that industry expert has to be taken into syllabus making. But hardly any really industry experts come there and they give their
so it seems that University of Pune is certainly going by the rule book. It's walking the talk. It's not the talk which is happening. I think this talk can certainly take the entire night as well, because it's such an engaging interaction which we have been having since the last 4 hours. With this, I think the key challenges.
Just supplement, just to regarding these number, where do you stand? So technology is so improved that even everybody, everybody has been research, get the information, and top 25 articles. So even individual after publication, individual gets even in a year, where do we stand? For individual also. So I am happy to tell you that my group, top 24 papers, research papers, they have already appeared, and they are individually they are reporting, getting the information. So that kind of ranking is already available individually as well as institutional wise, and I'm glad to tell you that specifically in nanoscience, research in nanoscience, India is third country, third in the world. So in nanomission industries, and because in India, DST has given, under nanomission, the government, DST has put a lot of money, and we have got the outcome for the India.
I think with such passionate and committed individuals leading the entire spectrum of higher education in the country, the future is certainly bright. We are really equipped and prepared to take on the key challenges and the challenges of higher education. With this, we come to the close of this wonderful session, this series of 3 sessions we have been having out here. I request Mr. Vinod John to come and felicitate our panelists by presenting them a token of thanks in the form of a stole. And while Mr. John presents this, I request the staff members out there to remove the table so that we prepare the stage for the award ceremony. Just slightly do it. I request Mr. John to present the stole to Professor Pawar for such a dynamic and such a dedicated exhortation he has given it to us. I request him to felicitate Shri S.L. Agrawal, who has come all the way from Jaipur, the pink city, to the city of Marathas. He's the executive director with the JECRC University. His suggestion of Finance Corporation for Higher Education is certainly very, very valid. I will request Mr. John to present a stole of thanks to Dr. Mohite for really walking the great talk which at University of Pune he is leading the forum. And last but not the least, for summing it up and easing my job while going back, Dr. Yogeshwar Costa for such a wonderful summation of the entire spirit of Higher Education Forum Pune. I thank him, I thank all the panelists for the wonderful time, for the wonderful inputs they have given it across. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks. Very first step to take on the global excellence on multiple forefronts. As we saw the entire evening, there are so many issues and so many agendas and so many thematic, I will say, threads, that it's really, really very difficult to weave them together into one. It's one out of things like that.